Rick Wilson,
Hello, Molly.
Donald Trump, not very popular.
I would say not very popular is putting it mildly. I would say that if he were not protected by the Secret Service, people would throw rocks at him in the streets and trash at him. He is really unpopular.
I'm going to read you some numbers and you tell me what you think. Overall is 37% approve, 62% disapprove. He is the worst on cost of living, 23% approval. So that's basically just the members at Mar-a-Lago and the Trump kids. 76% disapproval. This is Washington Post, ABC. The inflation, 27% approval. The best he gets is a 54% disapproval for the U.S.-Mexico border.
And unluckily for the Republicans, the U.S.-Mexico border on the scale of issues is about number 87.
Right.
The number one issues, affordability, inflation, prices, gas, those things are right at the top of the pile right now. And he is now officially a boat anchor around the necks of Republicans running at every level in this country. And they don't know how to get out of it. They don't know how to shake themselves away from him because they're afraid of him. It's bad.
So let's talk about what's happened since then. Donald Trump has these terrible polls. This week, the Supreme Court, very partisan, 6-3 decision to kill the Voting Rights Act, just end it, basically end all of it.
They say they didn't, but they did.
Right. And what they did was they ended minority-majority districts because there is no more racism in America. It's over. They fixed it.
And you're all, and we're the racists for noticing the racism.
Yes. How dare you?
How dare you? Look, Molly, this decision will go down in the Supreme Court's catalog with things like Dred Scott and Korematsu. This is going to go down as a historically bad decision. The Supreme Court's job is to interpret the Constitution, and they went far, far, far out over the cliff here in order to essentially give the Republican Party a lifeline in the 2026 election. They can say they didn't. They can posture all they didn't. But what happened here was very, very, very much about this year's election. They timed it for it. A lot of these states that were planning these redistricting efforts were timing it for this. They knew this was coming. And look, Republicans don't take a crap without a plan. They had a plan. They're going to execute on that plan, as you can see now in Florida, in Alabama, Louisiana, and on and on and on.
So Kay Ivey in Alabama going to redistrict. Mississippi, it's Tate Reeves, right? Tate Reeves?
Right.
Tate Reeves, people are voting in the primary, and Tate Reeves is like, not so fast.
Yeah,
we're going to redistrict.
That the only state that's holding the line right now is Georgia. They're like, no, not going to happen. When he's right, he's right. Kemp is right on this one. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. But Kay Ivey, I was told very reliably, did not want to do this, got a lot of pressure from the White House, a lot of very ugly, like immediate pressure from the White House. And so what's really happening here is Chris LaCivita and the White House political team are trying to pull a Hail Mary play here and get enough redistricted seats to win. And you know what? Democrats need to learn a lesson. They did not do the wrong thing when California responded to Texas. They did the right thing.
Yeah.
They now need to keep doing the right thing. If the new rule that the Supreme Court has said is, hey, you can do partisan redistricting, as long as it's not racial, you can call it partisan. If it has a racial impact, whatever. Okay. Now states that said, oh, we can't do redistricting, now have an excuse. New York, Illinois. There's no reason that New York has 4 Republican congressmen. Not one reason at all.
No reason. I
can see how you could trim that down to 1. Park him on
Staten Island, baby.
Or Staten Island and Long Island, and be done. Be done. And Illinois can do the same thing. They now are not constrained by this. I want Democrats to understand that if you don't respond in kind, and you may not like it, and no one has to like it. I don't like it. It's shitty that we're in this position. It's awful as a democracy, as a country, that we have to do this. But if you don't counteract what they're doing, they will keep doing it.
Correct. And I think when we talk about this, what strikes me is that Donald Trump, he's really unpopular and he's
Deeply.
really he's really unhinged, right? Like, for example, like all week, gas just went up and up and up. So it's up to almost $5. In a lot of places, it is $5. This is like the worst case scenario for Republicans.
It absolutely is. And I have a friend who is a senior oil and gas analyst at a very large Wall Street bank. And this person is so smart about this stuff and not political, not super political, okay? Not deeply wired political. And this person told me the other day, oh no, these prices won't come down until 2028 at this point, if they do ever. That is where Republicans
you and I have talked about this before, which is that getting prices up is pretty easy. Getting prices down is pretty difficult.
It was the thing Biden realized, that getting good news back to people takes twice as long as bad news getting to people.
Right.
And that time interval is not in the Republicans' favor right now. 6 months from now, even if the Strait opens today, 6 months from now, people are going to still be saying, God damn, gas was expensive.
Right. So you have this problem, which is like gas prices. You're heading into the summer. Now, Spirit Airlines goes under, or is in the process of going under. And that's because gas is really expensive, which means that if you're flying a plane and buying a ton of gas, it's even more expensive.
That is correct. And aviation fuel is the central cost driver for airlines. It's not the leasing of the planes or the hiring of the crews. Fuel is the pillar in the center of their cost model.
Because they use a lot of fuel.
A whole lot. And what they use, what jet fuel is a variation of diesel fuel, okay? And diesel has gone up much more than regular gasoline.
That's right.
Regular gasoline has gone up 100 and whatever percent, but diesel fuel has gone up almost 250%. So the people who use diesel fuel, I don't know, airlines, farmers, truckers, trains. I mean, none of this is good news right now for the economy. It is very, very bad news for the economy. And it's worse for Trump and the Republicans because they really keep pretending that nothing's wrong. You know, the other day, Trump had a moment, Molly, I don't know what you thought about this, when he went out and said, affordability, they've got one line of bullshit. I'm pretty sure American consumers don't think affordability is a line of bullshit right now. Well, pretty sure they'd like more affordability than less.
By the way, there are all these sorts of Damocles. Remember, there are all of these things that are written in the BBB that after the midterms explode, like, you know, they get cuts of Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, etc. But so we're in the beginning of a trajectory that's bad. We're not at the end of it.
That's right, Molly. That's right. We are watching we're going to watch this play out now over the next few months in a way that the consequences that we think are bad now of the BBB, including blowing a hole in the deficit and blowing a hole in the debt, all that stuff, that is nothing compared to what happens next year when all the healthcare cuts start rolling in harder than ever, when Medicare cuts, Medicaid cuts, all those things start rolling in. And Donald Trump does not have a solution.
No.
His solution so far has been to say, we're gonna increase the Defense Department budget to $1.5 trillion. That is his solution to growing the economy right now. And I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And I also think that there's another problem, which is, first of all, they're negotiating a ceasefire, they're negotiating some kind of peace thing, maybe. Right? Maybe. There's, Trump has said the war's over like 57 times, every time. And, reporters for a long time have been like, the president called me, the war's over. The president called me, president. There's a world in which you are the boy who cried wolf one too many times.
Yes, there's also a world in which reporters should stop being so effing credulous when Trump calls them and says something.
But he's kept the market propped up on this idea that if he calls reporters and says something, it will be reported. And the market, the rest of us may not believe him, but the stock market will.
Well, part of the stock market does. And look, right now, the stock market is not being sustained. It's partly sustained by Trump's BS line about the war being over, but it's also being sustained by the capital expenditures of the Magnificent 10 tech companies that are still out there spending money like hand over fist on building data centers and building AI infrastructure. The rest of the stock market is like really scared. They're really getting jittery. And if one, and we had an okay, you had an okay weekend or week for the or quarter for the tech firms, but this market is so fragile that we can't afford a big shock. We can't afford, and interestingly enough, Trump can't afford politically to give up and let the Iranians win, quote unquote. They've already won, I think. But he also can't continue to do what he's doing and pretend that the war is on, off, depending on where his mood is that morning. I think he's in a lot of trouble right now, Molly. And I say that as somebody who's seen him get in trouble and get out of it before. But this pattern is of him being able to BS the markets is getting less effective over time. And the economic pain everyday Americans are feeling is far, far, far outweighed by his ability to sort of do the shamalama and make the market, not crash every day.
Yeah. I also think that when we look at this economy, it's this K-shaped economy, right? So the richest do the best and the poorest do the worst. And this is the inheritance of the Trump 2017 tax cut, which said, if you have money, you can use that money to make more money. If you don't have money, you're fucked. And what I think is really important about this is that we're in a moment where we really need progressive taxation. We need to have, we don't need to sort of go the other way. And what Trump has really done is this sort of trickle downy, if you just cut taxes on businesses and very rich people, they'll take care of everyone else. And what we've seen is that's not true.
Actually, Molly, I got to tell you, as a free market guy, this makes trickle down from the Reagan era look like full communism. This isn't even close. They've stopped pretending. I tell a story in my first book about a guy that he's passed now, but he used to be a big lobbyist in DC. Never like a super Trump guy, but he was very, very good Senate lobbyist. And I asked him during the 2017 tax bill, I'm like, is there anything in here that's like some middle class uplift? Is there anything here that you guys have put a mark on, or the Senate has put a mark on where they can run on it? I'm just curious. He goes, get the fuck out of here. My clients are hedge funds and investment banking people. This bill's gonna give about 150 people and companies a free ride, and everybody else is getting fucked.
Right.
And he was right. When the 2017 tax cuts expired, we should have known.
And we should have let them expire.
Again, I believe that the economy could benefit by a broadly lower tax structure on the middle class. And I think that when you got a guy like Elon Musk, who was paid $158 billion last year and paid a marginal tax rate of 9%, get the fuck out of here. And I say that as an economic conservative. The country's in debt and our deficits are out of control. And we're giving these guys the imaginary benefit that somehow Elon Musk, who employs in this country about 75,000 people in different capacities, somehow deserves to not pay taxes.
Yeah, no, it's wild. So let's just talk about, we got this midterm, they're going to redistrict. I have this theory of the case, and I'm going to pitch it to you and you tell me if I'm wrong, okay?
All right.
Because we have this friendship where you tell me when I'm wrong sometimes. At least I hope you do.
I do.
I think that they're going to redistrict with those 24 numbers, right?
Which they did in Florida. I can tell you for sure, they used the 2024 performance model in Florida.
Okay. So let's talk about Florida, because Florida, DeSantis in his infinite wisdom has decided to redistrict right now. So he's going to draw out, I think, 4 seats, maybe?
They have added 4 seats, but in doing it, they have reduced the Republican voter performance in all the other seats, except for 3 seats, which basically stayed the same. 1, 2, and 4 in the northern part of the state. But around the rest of the state, they did what I call the Pretoria plan, and they compacted all the minorities into the smallest possible areas.
Okay.
But they made Republican seats that were R+10, R+8 into seats that are now R+4, R+6.
Okay. So let's talk about that. So they're using the 2024 numbers where Donald Trump really overperformed with
wildly
Hispanic voters.
Yep. Well, listen, Molly, even African-American voters, he overperformed in Florida.
Right. But Hispanic voters is a group he's now underwater by about 38.
Yeah. And our friend Mike Madrid has been cataloging this in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And every poll for Trump and Hispanics tells us one big thing. It's not the immigration that has pissed them off. It is the economy.
And I think also they're having their relatives shipped away, especially
I'm getting to that for Florida.
Yeah.
The fact that Stephen Miller is so tone deaf, there's been tension in the White House between Stephen Miller and the political team because in Florida, their new arrest target for ICE is Cubans who were here under TPS status, which has now been canceled. So they're now here in legal limbo. Many of them are trying to do the process, and they're doing the whole thing. They go to the courthouse, they get arrested at the courthouse.
They're Republicans. Cubans.
Yes, Molly. This is the fucking genius of Donald Trump and Stephen Miller. The Republicans and Venezuelans were an amazing new constituency for the GOP that was growing so fast. Cubans were always there. Venezuelans were new, but they were so Republican because they thought, finally, they're going to fight back against the communists. The Venezuelans in Florida saw Trump kidnap Maduro. They're like, yay, cool. And leave Delcy Rodriguez, Maduro's fucking enforcer, in charge of Venezuela.
Yes.
The tone deafness of these people is beyond any comprehension. They don't get the community because they're not of the community. And even Marco is not anymore like of the community. He's Marco.
So I want to just pull back to this. So a seat in Florida that was an R+10 is now an R+6 or an R+4.
Yep.
And it's R+4 on the 2024 numbers. So the 2024 numbers had a lot of overperforming of Hispanic voters.
You're absolutely getting to the point, Molly. This is exactly the point.
So
they're looking at the wrong fucking model.
So if they're looking at the 24 numbers and Donald Trump not on the ballot has already flipped, the mayor of Miami, now a Democrat.
Correct.
Has already clearly is taken the ship is taking in water. The water is Hispanic voters, Black voters, young voters. And we saw already the generic is a D+10. So you could see all of those seats flipping.
I can tell you there's a way that you could look at Florida losing 6 Republican seats and not be living in fantasy land.
And that would be called a dummy mander, where you gerrymander yourself into a dummy mander.
There's one other area in Florida that they made a mistake on using the wrong modeling. In Florida, traditionally speaking, independent, e.g., like non-party affiliated voters, tend to vote Republican historically about 60 to 62% of the time. That number is now in every public poll. Independents hate Republicans more than they hate the Democrats, and they hate Trump at basically almost a 3-to-1, and Trump's policies at a 3-to-1 against ratio. Right. I got to tell you, I think that model for independent voters, more than the minority voters, is what's going to end up, if all of the things being equal this year. That's going to end up where they really take a beating.
Yeah, and again, this is something you could see coming from a million miles away, right?
Absolutely.
But if you use the 24 numbers for a midterm after Donald Trump has already taken on so much water, it's hard to imagine this doesn't end in disaster for them.
And I can tell you, in the old days, in my Republican days, we were very dedicated to working the numbers and thinking through, like, what's the real model going to look like? They have not factored into a lot of these numbers, even the off-year 25 races, because we have Mickey Sherrill and Abby Spanberger And even Mamdani was talking about affordability in a New York City context.
Yeah.
And this message, affordability, inflation, prices, and linking it up as John Ossoff is doing, I think right now at like top of the tier level performance in Georgia.
Right.
Linking it to the corruption in Washington and in the Trump administration. The Democrats are being handed the sword to cut off the head of the dragon that is MAGA and Trump. They're being handed they're being handed an environment and a weapon to use that I've never seen in any midterm election in my career, and I've been doing this far too long.
Rick Wilson, will you come back?
You know I will.